Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Primal Wild, the best damn nature show this side of the Confederate American states. My name's Clem, and today we're heading north of the Mason-Dixon line to rustle up some info about one of North America's orneriest paracritters, the Century Ferret. Now, the Century Ferret looks about how you'd expect a ferret to look, except bigger and meaner. Seriously, Century Ferrets walk around with a gall-dang chip on their damn shoulders. These paracritters average about 1 meter long and around 3 kilos or so in weight. Now, I ain't saying these ferrets are the Mustela equivalent of my Aunt Gladys, but they ain't exactly staying away from the early bird special at the Sizzler, if you know what I mean. Now, color-wise, the Century Ferret tends to be brown with a lighter underbelly and some darker fur around its feet and face. Like a cute little teddy bear full of murder and hate, just itching to rip your damn face off in the dead of night. And what's weird about the Century Ferret is when it was actually discovered. Now, it is common knowledge that paracritters didn't come about until the Awakening back in 2011, but the Century Ferret was actually discovered before the Awakening back in the year 2000. And it seems a man by the name of Peter Haskell, I'm going to call him Pete, noticed a funny-looking mama weasel with her pups rooting around his woodshed out in Edgebrook Woods near Chicago on January 1st. Now, old Pete here, he knew something wasn't quite right with these particular critters, and so he called up the local news station WSAF to come take a gander at what he'd found. Well, sir, WSAF sent a reporter called Stephen Collins, now there's a news anchor name if I ever heard one, to investigate Pete's ferrets. Now, Collins managed to grab one of them pups before his mama could rip his eyes out and took it to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for some further study. A couple weeks later, the feds call up Collins and tell him he and Pete discovered a brand new species. Collins, the one that coined the name Century Ferret for the critter on account of it being discovered at the turn of the century. You get it? Now, scientists studying the Century Ferret noticed something a little strange about its behavior. The Century Ferret's a mean cuss. It really doesn't like anyone. But these scientists noticed it really had a bug up its ass for certain people. See, normally ferrets don't go after you unless you're threatening their young or invading their territory like a goddamn Yankee sumbitch. The Century Ferret would go just absolutely bonkers around certain folk, though. Spitting, hissing, clawing, biting, generally carrying on like my meemaw that one Christmas we told her all the shine was gone. Certain places would cause the same reaction with the Century Ferret trying to leave the area lickety-split. Like my meemaw after we had to call the cops after we told her all the shine was gone that one Christmas. Except the ferret wasn't naked as a jaybird. Took 4 tasers to bring down meemaw that night. Of course, what the eggheads didn't know was the Century Ferret was the world's first paracritter. That's right, the first paracritter was discovered over a decade before the Awakening. Now, I don't know the whys and what fors about it, but one of my magic-y cousins, Cooter, we call him that because when he was born, he slid out his mama faster than... So anyway, Cooter says the Century Ferret's appearance was part of a pre-awakening mana spike or some other bulldrek. No one knows how, but basically the Century Ferret's tuned into mana and can sense its levels in people and the surrounding area. The Century Ferret tries to avoid areas with higher mana levels and tries to claw the face off any poor awakened sumbitch it happens to come across. Kind of like my meemaw that one Christmas when the cops were trying to flush her out of the woods. They'd shine a spotlight in the clearing, she'd run like hell. Some poor bastard would run into her and she'd kick, scratch, and bite. Yeah. Might be time to put meemaw in a home or something. Now, the fact that the Century Ferret's a natural mana detector has led a lot of corps to use the critter as an early warning system against magical intrusion. Or as the cutest goddamn attack swarm you've ever seen. Just imagine some poor magicker skulking through a hallway, and then suddenly, bam! A couple kilos of furry death drops right on top of their head. Most adorable death ever is what I say. Poor Cooter. Rest in pieces, cousin. Rest in pieces. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Primal Wild, ladies and gentlemen. Join us next time when we travel down under to Australia to track down the elusive bunyip and piss it off by sticking a finger up its bum. I don't know why. Australia's a weird place. Now, if you'll excuse me, Meemaw's broken out of the hospital, and I'm the only sumbitch within 5 miles that's got a can of bear mace and some behemoth tranquilizer in the back of his pickup. Ciao. And that's the chip truth, chummers. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more Shadowrun content. Hit that notification bell so you will always know when I upload a brand new Shadowrun video, and until next time, remember to shoot straight and never, ever deal with a dragon.